We can also do this. So let me, like we can zoom us in.
Okay.
Or I can switch cameras, but we won't. So we'll go this way first. So good morning and welcome to LinkedIn Live. I'm Megan Focus, and I am so grateful for you to be here. I am stoked beyond measure because I have a fabulous guest. So Miss Tonya Peto is with me for Mimi Magazine. So we're going to give everybody a few minutes to go ahead and hop online. And I'm going to say good morning again and welcome to LinkedIn Live with Evlo Jaminos. I'm Megan Voges. I'm the senior consultant here with our organization, and I cannot wait for everyone to join us. So if you were joining us in the chat, oh, good morning, Danielle's joining us. We love it. Good morning, Danielle. So Tonya and I both know Danielle, which is fantastic. So if you are joining us live, be sure to comment in the chat where you're joining us from. We are so glad you are here, and I can't wait for this fun conversation to talk about marketing and magazines and publishing and chambers and community and more with Tonya. So again, welcome, Tonya. I'm so grateful to have you here. So we were both just chuckling about, we're both double hydrating with coffee and a water. So if you catch us sipping this morning, we're not sipping cocktails, I promise. No mimosas this morning for us. But we're going to dive in. So to get started with my LinkedIn Lives, if you haven't been here before, welcome. If you have been here before, you know that typically what we do, it's a really fun conversation. And I just allow the guests to kind of share about what they do, why they do it, some fun things, some myth bustings. Oh no, we have a guest that's joining us. She says her screen is jerky and she can't hear you. So if you can hear us, go ahead and give me a in the chat, or at least just say loud and clear. If you can hear us, that would be fantastic. I want to make sure our sound is working. I know we were just speaking and we should be good. But if you're joining us live, I would love it if you could please remind us that you can hear us loud and clear. So we'll give that a chance. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest. So Tonya and I met, oh my gosh, what, 5-6 years ago? Something
At
like
least,
that.
yeah.
And we realized what an incredibly small world it is. We started to realize how many leaders in the communities we're connected to, how many libraries we both love, how many chambers we champion for. That is great. Oh, weird, Sonia. I don't know why you're not getting any sound. So I would almost refresh, check the mic if you aren't hearing anything on the bottom right corner. But to circle back and talk a little bit about, so when Tonya and I first spoke, we spoke a lot about how the passion you have when you're starting to build a community and build a network. And I have to applaud Tonya because you, my dear, have broadened your network beyond just your immediate kind of area in your community, let's say within that 10 miles, but you've really kind of added these different circles of connections. You're recognized all over Ohio and even in Northeast Ohio. And I think that's not just for your career history, but the magazine, right? So you talk a lot about Mimi. And so I'm going to let you kind of take the stage and tell me a little bit about what Mimi Magazine is, what Mimi Vanderhaven is, and any celebrations you want to have. So.
Sure, absolutely. So to start, we are celebrating 20 years in print as of June. So that's really exciting. I've actually been with the magazine just over 11 years now. So over half of its existence. So that's super exciting to be able to say. And, to sum it up, we are all about thinking local. So the mission of Mimi is to highlight those local businesses throughout Northeast Ohio, anything from home improvement, health and beauty, restaurants, dining, and more. And that is what we do. So I'm very passionate about local businesses. My husband owns a local business. I got to watch him start it from idea to creating it. He's now 4 years in, and I love to see that with all the businesses I work with, whether they are a one-man band just starting off and getting to watch them grow, or they're already established and just continuing to expand. And what's really unique about Mimi is that when people think about, traditional magazines or print, they think about display ads, racking magazines. And what's unique to Mimi is I always say I don't sell ads or stories. I sell messaging and audience. And so one of the magics of Mimi is our storytelling capabilities. And again, that's something we've been doing for over 20 years. And you hear it all the time now, editorials, but we have been doing it 20 plus years, and it's just a way to really connect the local businesses with our audience, our readership. So it is the affluent, educated homeowner, and we get directly into the mailbox. So thinking back to COVID, when people were at home, that was one of the advantages we had, was that we were still able to get in front of the homeowners looking to update their house or whatever it was that they were doing during the pandemic. So that's kind of Mimi in a nutshell. We are actually the Northeast Ohio's largest direct mail magazine. We deliver to over 277,000 mailboxes every month. And that's broken up into 19 different zones or areas. So that's really nice and convenient for the small businesses too, because they can really narrow their target audience and who they want to reach. They can do one zone versus 19 zones. So everything we do is strategic and specific to the businesses as well that we're working with. So nothing is cookie cutter. My title is marketing strategist, and that's what I love about what I do, is the strategizing, really digging into these businesses, what their passion is, how they got started, who their target audience is, and figuring out if we're a good fit. And from there, moving forward and just helping them get more business.
I love that point. And I think that's one of the things that we all miss, right? So when we talk about marketing, Tonya and I share this in common. We have to take a step back, and it's marketing and advertising are related, but they're so different in what you do and how you do it and how you communicate, right? So how you communicate to the right audience with the right message at the right time. And I had a conversation this morning. We were talking about earlier on my drive over with a client, and we were talking about who is she messaging to, right? And she's at both ends of the generation spectrum, right? So she's recruiting younger millennials to join the industry, but her clients and the industry that she's familiar with are of that baby boomer and Gen X generation. So she's got to craft her message in two different ways consistently to balance that. And I think you must see that with your 19 zones that you have with Mimi Magazine. Celebrate that, right? So in Northeast Ohio, I know some of the myths that you may hear that I know of are, oh my gosh, well, you just do advertising and, there are no sponsored stories, or you do all sponsored stories and that kind of thing. But let's talk about some of the other myths, because I know some people think that Mimi's a franchise. Like, oh, well, you just pop up and each zone has their own franchise. So tell us a little bit if that's actually the truth.
Yeah. No, so I'm glad you brought that up. So we are not a franchise. We are a local business here in Northeast Ohio, just like the businesses we work with. Our president of the magazine lives right in Fairlawn, not far from Summit Mall. He's in a lot of the local restaurants and wineries down there. So if you're ever in that area, you've probably seen him and you just don't know. He had this vision of creating a magazine that focused on locally owned businesses and allowed them to have a space to tell their stories where they didn't have to compete with the budgets of the national corporations. And so with that, he started in Strongsville, and from there has expanded all over Northeast Ohio. So we are all the way up in the West Shore areas, Avon Bay, over to East Side, my area, Chesterland, Lake County, and as far south as Akron and Greene, Uniontown. So we are not a franchise. This is the only area Mimi is in. And we are a small business like a lot of the other businesses that we work with. And another myth I would say is that people think we're expensive. And I always ask them when they say we're expensive, what are you comparing us to? Because again, if you're looking at the a local newspaper, a community paper, which are great and have their own specific niche, that's apples to oranges. That is not what we are. We are not news. We don't do politics, religion, things of that nature. And the fact that we are, again, direct mail, not wrapped, you're getting photographers, professional writers, content creation. When I hear that we're expensive, that's my first question is what are you comparing us to? And so so those are the two biggest ones I hear is that, are we a franchise? No, we are not. And are we expensive? And again, it depends on what you're comparing us to, what business you are, who your target audience is, and things like that.
Well, and I love that position, right? And that's, I think, a great follow-up question for anything. And we talk a lot in sales and growth and strategy when we're acquiring new clients, just like you said. Well, what's the follow-up question? Oh, well, you're too expensive. I mean, expensive, or you're too costly. And I mean, for me, the deficit question goes, well, if you don't use us, who are you going to use? Where are you spending your marketing dollars? Where are you spending your investment so that you get the return on your expectations? When we talk about kind of being in different circles, I was in a meeting yesterday and we were talking about, is it a return on your investment or return on expectations? Are you getting the exposure you want with your magazine? Are you in the right audience base, right? You can blanket send to a newspaper, but if you want to target the affluent, well-educated homeowner with what you're doing, you've got to really target and find that specific tool, which oftentimes is the Mimi magazine.
Right.
In that regard. So I know I want to, I don't know if you recall this. We were at a networking events once and I overheard, we were talking to someone like, oh, well, you must be franchise. And I actually quoted it here and I had to laugh because you're from this area, right? So it's this idea of born here, raised here, staying here. Like the magazine's not going anywhere. It doesn't have high aspirations to go, oh, we're going to expand to all of the Midwest or all of the Southeast or, all of Ohio. And you're like, no. We're keeping our niche and just maximizing what we have.
Absolutely. So, yes.
Well, and as someone who's born here, staying here, raised here, you're really involved in your community. I'd love to know from you, what organizations within your community do you feel like have been pivotal in helping you grow your network and also grow your business?
Sure. So number one are the chambers. Just as when I started off with Mimi, really didn't know where to go. Ended up meeting somebody that was I believe the membership coordinator for the Greater Akron Chamber at the time. And so this is, 10, 11 years ago. And she really introduced me to chambers. So I had been a member of the Greater Akron Chamber for many years when I lived in Akron. And since then, I've a past member of the Medina Chamber. Most currently, I am a member of the Green Area Chamber, the Rocky River Area of Chamber, Chardon. I sit on the board of the Chagrin Valley Chamber, along with the West Geauga Chamber. So I love the chambers because you can, do as little or as much as you want. And I'm one that, like where I live in Chesterland, obviously West Geauga, Chagrin, that's my backyard. So I am, a lot more involved in those ones. Again, being on the board, chairing membership committees, things like that. Whereas with some of the other ones that are further out, Rocky River, Green, I make the meetings that I can. I always do golf outings because those are I always get my biggest ROI on those. But it's about actually being able to attend things, meet people, socialize, and build those relationships. And, the longer I'm in this, the more crossover I see as well. So it's always fun when I do join a new group or try a new organization and I see people there that are at other organizations. And so that helps just get me in. And again, because of those relationships I've already developed, it's easier for them to then introduce me to more people as well. I also love my women groups. So there's Women in Networking. And that's one of my favorites as well, because they also have a big giving back aspect to what they do too. So, but yes, the community, even more than just professional networking, the personal connections. Like Danny on here, who is a fellow Chester Township resident, she's got 3 daughters, all within the school system that my son's in as well. And we see each other at Patterson's getting donuts. And so that's what I love too, is just when we're out and about and running into people we know at the stores or the different parks or things like that too. And one of the things that's really exciting for the West Geauga Chamber, and one of the things we've been working on was bringing a big community event to Chesterland specifically. And we have that coming up August 27th at the high school. And it is the West Geauga Chamber in partnership with the Chief of Police, Chief Young, and the Superintendent of the West G School District, Dr. Mark Word. So that is going to be a huge event, free to the community. And that's, blending that community and business personalities. That's what we want. So we're really excited about doing that too. And that's, again, free for the community and something that I'm very big on too.
No, I think that's incredible. And when you talk about events, we'll make sure to, if you're watching us live or as a recorded session, be sure to follow the comments and check the comments. We'll have a link to how to register and check out that event with the West Geauga Chamber. And I think one of the things you've done so beautifully with events is you've really leveraged the community relationships in your community to make sure that you're hosting the events locally. You're using the local facilities. You're connecting with the local business leaders who either have offices or the local library kind of is that meeting space for you, so that you really are building that impression that we've got a really incredible community here. Let's leverage the resources we have. And to circle back, I know Tonya Peto, who's also on the call today, live with us, she gave a shout out that it's those events, right? So if you don't know, Mimi also can do calendar listings, right? I mean, this is one of the cool things that you can talk about. And if you're unfamiliar with Knitting for Cancer, it's an incredible organization with a mission to really help those cancer warriors with beautiful hats and blankets and things to help when they're going through chemo. And when we look at that, I think that's really important to touch on, even with your West Geauga event, that you're supporting local events who are supporting local people who are supporting local businesses. And it goes back to that idea that you not just are thinking local, you're acting local. And I want to give you a big prop for that, because I think that's something that not all businesses do. They say they're thinking local, but they're not supporting local. And Mimi does an outstanding job of doing that. Thank you. Oh my gosh, absolutely. So, and one of the fun things I know that we talk a lot about is empowering other community leaders to connect with other leaders. So kind of thinking, what have the chambers been kind of your go-to, and as well as WIN, for those networking opportunities? Or do you find it's important to just kind of be present at other events in the community?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. And I love collaboration. So this Thursday for the West Geauga Chamber's third Thursday event, which we hosted the Geauga West Library, we are doing a combined event with the Chardon Area Chamber. So because of my involvement in those other chambers, when we started this chamber almost a year ago, there was just a lot of excitement, even from the other chambers too. So we have a lot of collaboration going on. Even coming up September 21st, we're going to be having I believe it's a 5 area chamber event coming up. And that's actually also with GGP, Geauga Growth Partnership. They're kind of spearheading it. And about 4 or 5 other chambers are involved with that. And that's what I love. So it's leveraging those relationships with other chambers, but then also within your own network too. So even on the smaller level at the chambers, at the chamber events, each chamber has its own personality, and it's so fun to see.
Does.
So ours is very talkative, and it's a lot of fun, but it's great then when we can also connect with other chamber leaders outside of just, our smaller chamber. And that's what I love to see too, is that we are not, enemies. It's not a competition. It's working together and figuring out how we can just help get the businesses and the community what they need.
And I love that idea, right? So it's a balance of both. It's making those connections, it's growing, and it's inviting other organizations to be in those connections as well. And so if you look in the chat, I've also dropped the link to the Unity Days event in West G. You're also going to see the third Thursday event. It's this Thursday. I'll be there. And I know I'm hoping Danielle and Sonia will be there, but you can follow the link in the chat. You can register. It's also on the website. Website super complicated. It is literally wgchamber.com. So if you're looking for it, think West Geauga, wgchamber.com. And like you said, this week is with Chardon, right?
Chardon.
Yeah, which I think will be a ton of fun to meet those other connections and really grow your network strategically, right? Oh, and it looks like we're going to be having some beach ball fun. So a
Yep.
perfect summer tie-in.
Yep. Yep.
But
So more interactive.
those are always fun, right? I love the beach ball networking. If you haven't done it, it's a great icebreaker. I actually do it when I teach at Kent. It's one of the activities I do with the students because you just got to kind of stay on your toes. It also helps you find out who's more coordinated when catching the ball, but that's a whole other conversation. So again, so as we kind of wrap with the idea of community and connection, take some of what Tonya has said, thinking about Mimi Magazine, if you know a small business or a local business that really could use that leg up in marketing and advertising, call her, find out, what their rates are, what's best for your business. Let her work with you. She is a strategy guru and she really does a great job looking at your audience, your messaging, and what's the best fit for you and your business now and looking forward. What's that long-term plan? What are you starting with? What are you ending with? And I can testify for other organizations that she does an outstanding job really helping you raise awareness.
Yeah. And if I can't help you, I, again, have plenty of connections. I make a lot of referrals too. So I know I'm not always the best option either, especially to begin with. If you don't have a digital presence grounded, then, you kind of need to get that in place before I want you spending money on print advertising. So there's a lot to it, but yeah, I'm always here to help educate, answer questions, and help get the business owner what it is they need.
Thank you. I mean, that's a great testimony to you. And I think the kind of business that you run, which is impressive. So for those of you who have joined a LinkedIn Live before, it's that time during our hour right now to pivot to rapid fire questions. So if you haven't been here, I'll tell you before. Rapid fire is very similar to the James Lipton's version. If you've ever, God rest the man's soul, watching Inside the Actor Studio, where at the end he asks that streamline of simple questions, right? That should just be off the cuff and as you're answering them. I will tell you there was a funny yesterday between both Tonya's day and my day. We were bouncing forth on text messages, confirming today and all the details. And there was this is what happens right when you use Google Voice. So to clarify, I do not know Tonya's answers, and here is why. Yesterday she messaged me, she's like, I got the list. Do you want my answers in advance? And I intended on saying no to Siri to send the voice text. No, don't send them to me. But Siri heard me say, no, yes, I need them, which makes no sense. To which Tanya's like, wait, do you need them? And I'm standing in the middle of like a hardware store picking up stuff for a project we're doing. And I'm like, no, wait, no, I don't need them. Wait, yes, don't send them. No, yeah, never mind. Don't send me anything. I'll talk to you in the morning. I think that's what the message boiled down to. So to clarify to the audience, I'm going to bring Tonya front and center, and I don't know her answers. I'm going to ask random questions. And the best part is if you're in the chat, feel free to join in the chat as well if you have any recommendations. So, but I'm going to let her bring front and center, which will be all kinds of fun. So welcome to Rapid Fire Questions. So we're going to kind of dive in. And this is one of my favorite things. As a print person, you also, though, are very tech savvy, which I love. So what is a digital tool, app, browser extension, short? What's a tech tool that for you is essential to the success you have every week?
So I have to say, Calendly, just a helping to schedule appointments and get myself organized. That's been a huge help, especially since the pandemic, because there's nothing worse than going back and forth via email. What's your availability? And then by the time somebody gets back to you, you've already booked that spot they want with somebody else. So being able to have a live time calendar, somebody can go in there and book based on your availability is very convenient and helpful for me.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. So that's a great tool. So if you haven't downloaded Calendly and you're not using it, I highly also recommend it. There's another version called TidyCal, TIDYCAL.com. I leverage that one from a cost perspective. I also like that one. Calendly is a little more recognized, so I love that. All right. So next question so we've got that one. What is your favorite sound? Kind of a fun question.
Birds chirping.
I thought it was going to be your son laughing, but okay, birds chirping is your favorite.
Birds chirping. Yeah, it makes me laugh because I feed our birds all the time out here, and I love birds. I love my pileated woodpecker, and then my husband complains of all the bird poop everywhere. So I'm like, you can't take away my one love in life, my birds. So it's
well, and let's pivot back to that. So recently, here's a fun fact about Tonya. She got to travel actually internationally on a pretty life trip, bucket list, perhaps even. And when we talk about it, I'm curious, were the bird sounds different where you were traveling? And I'll let you share where you traveled.
Yeah, so we were in South Africa and about 3 hours north of Johannesburg. And you know what? The birds, I honestly couldn't tell you with the birds there. When I think of birds there, I think of the ostriches that we were like driving next to out in the safaris. So
Oh, how
there was a lot
fun.
of other, just like the crickets, those types of noises is more what I heard there.
Yeah.
Maybe the giraffes and zebras kept all the birds away. I don't know, but
No, that's cool. And I think I applaud you. And one of the things Tonya and I talk a lot about is how traveling, and yes, we have our favorite sounds, but you also start to find different favorite things as you travel, and more appreciation for even the bird sounds you hear back here, no pun intended, back here in Ohio, that you get to enjoy. So thank you for sharing that fun story. So let's pivot back to a couple more rapid fire questions, and then we'll wrap for the morning because I know we both have a busy day ahead. But all right, so what do you love most about your local library? Rapid fire.
Ooh, okay. So they have a resource. It's changed names a few times. It was Reference USA, I think, last time I looked at it, but you're able to go in and actually search for businesses based on any type of criteria that you want. So for me, so on the professional side of things, if I'm looking for again, a health and beauty based business within a specific geography that has this many employees, I can find that. If I am personally looking for, a dog groomer, because this little guy's got to be right here in my lap with me. And I am looking for somebody that makes Chihuahua sweaters or something, or I can actually put that in there too. And I can find all kinds of businesses local, just right there, right online for free. And it's incredible all the different criteria you're able to use with that. So last time I looked, it was Reference USA, but it might have changed its name again. But again, both professionally and personally, I love that.
No, and I think that's a great tie-in, right? So when we talk about libraries being a hidden gem, for any of the LinkedIn Lives you've been on, I'm a huge ambassador and champion of libraries, but I also think they're very underrepresented for the support they give small businesses. And
Yes.
someone did a post exactly on what you were asking for a few weeks ago. Oh, I need business data on this, and this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just call your library. They were asking for which one they should pay for. I'm like, none of them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep.
If you're a small business, do not worry about paying right now. Call your local library before you even look at the paid options, right?
Yep.
Which ones do they have? Which ones are a resource? So no, that's fantastic. It's a fantastic idea. All right. Do you have a favorite word?
Nap time. I don't know if that's one or two words. Right now it's naps.
Naps.
Who doesn't love a nap? I could just conk over. I hear nap and I'm in.
No, and I will give you, I think that's one of the benefits of working from home, right? If you need that refuel after you've been on, multiple Zooms and you're getting that Zoom fatigue, if you need to take that power nap to kind of reboost you for the rest of the day, you have that capacity. So no, nap is a beautiful word. So, all right, I've got two more questions for you for rapid fire. Then I'll let you kind of have, the stage for anything that we didn't talk about that you want to make sure we touch on. But do you have a must-read book or a must-follow person? Is there anything that you think every business owner should definitely be considering to have in their kind of repertoire of resources?
Sure. This one actually is, I have the book right next to me. But this one I happened to find at a store on my birthday last year, and I bought it for myself and I love it. It's The Feel Good Effect. And it's actually helping to kind of change your mindset, if you will. So it's reclaim your wellness by finding small shifts that create big change. And it talks a lot about one of my I guess biggest sore spots, which is perfectionism, and just really understanding that that's not even a thing, and just finding your own perfect and things like that. And so this has been good professionally because sales can be very competitive. And although I try to only compete with myself, it's hard to not compete with others. And then even personally, there's always what we call mom guilt, which again, this book actually talks to that too, which helps me realize that, there is this balance, but it's different for everyone, and how our brains have been trained specific ways, just because of our evolvement over time. And there are simple changes you can do to help kind of rewire your thinking and change your mindset that has been extremely beneficial and really helped with my focus on different areas of life, whether it be personal, professional. So I love this book. I've gifted it to many people too. It's a quick read. It's easy. And it's I always have it with me.
No, and I love that. I think that's one of the things that we as women might recognize, and men also too sometimes. But I think it's that power when you find that really good book that you start gifting it to others. And I think that's always an indicator. There's a couple that I have, and I'm actually looking at my shelf right now, and I'm like, oh, I have to send my friend Nick a book because we had talked about it last week, and I'm like, you know what, my gift to you is you're starting your business. Take this book into consideration, right? And that's. I think just that work-life balance guilt is a thing, right? When we're being pulled in so many directions. Excellent answer. All right. Last question before we kind of wrap up for the day. But if your life were a hashtag, what would it be?
Think local. That's the first one. Second one would be nap time.
Hashtag nap time, hashtag local.
Yes, okay. But think local. I mean, that's just whatever it is. If you need a cake baked, if you need, your new windows, just whatever it is, just think local before going to the big box stores or whatever, because that's just what it's about, supporting your local community businesses, and that money stays within the community and just helps all of us.
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly right. So if you see a hashtag for Think Local or hashtag nap time, you'll know you've seen a post from Tonya. Right. So, and then I want to thank you again. Having a conversation with you was always fun and delightful, whether we're virtual, in person, or at a networking event. So is there anything we haven't touched on today that you wanted to touch on to let the audience know?
No, just as Megan said as well, just letting people know of the local community resources, that maybe those hidden gems. So libraries are definitely one of those. And if there are businesses of, be sure to share them with your friends, your family, let people know they're there and what they're good at, and support them. So
love that. Well, and so we'll wrap on, this will be our last question of the day. What is a hidden gem in your neighborhood that you think is underrated or not recognized enough?
There's a few of them. But I would say, right now I'm thinking of Ionero's Bakery. I don't know if it's how much of a hidden gem it is, although my mother-in-law didn't know about it, and she's been around forever, so it makes me think it's a hidden gem. But they are just an amazing little Italian bakery. We always go there for pizza dough, mozz, marinara to make pizzas, things like that. And they also have the best Italian cookies, sandwiches, chicken Italian wedding soup, so many pre-made options too that I've got in my freezer for quick meals. But just a small little Italian bakery deli right on 322, but a lot of people just go right by it, not know what it is.
Just fly right by. No, that's those small ethnic bakeries that have that very genuine, authentic taste. We found one recently. I'm Greek, right? And we found a Greek one that a good friend of mine, Stella, is. I think her family actually recognizes and owns over here in Cleveland. And it's just, you find it, you're like, oh, I want to go back for more and more. And you have to remind yourself that, because it tastes like your great grandmother's, recipe. So that's a great one. So perfect. So if you are in the area in Chardon and West Jaga, be sure to visit. I think they should cater our next chamber event. Again, thank you for taking time out of your morning to share with us a little bit about Mimi, about print advertising, about really getting the word out. So if you are listening live or you are listening to the recording, be sure to connect with Tonya on LinkedIn so you can find her. I promise it is not complicated. You can find her and you can connect with her. So on LinkedIn, you can follow Mimi Vanderhaven on LinkedIn, on social, and check it out. Make sure if you're on their distribution list that you're in that neighborhood and you know what zone you're in. So again, thank you so much. And to those of you listening, I'm glad you were here. And if you're listening to the recording, thank you. Be sure to follow both of our organizations on LinkedIn. And we promise to be a resource for you as we think local. So bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Again, bye.
Bye.